Good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, December 21st. We'll begin with a salute to the flag, please.
Flag of the United States of America,
to the
and to the
republic,
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
and
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Rocco, can you poll the board, please?
Sure. Mr. Galloway,
Here.
Mr. Boraski,
Here.
Mr. Dents,
Here.
Mr. Palmer,
Here.
and I'm here.
All right, thank you. Not much on the, well, it looks like a big agenda, but it's really, should be relatively easy to get through. We'll begin with item number 1, public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment tonight? Kyle?
Yes, we have Tony in the room with us. Tony, if you could just hit *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay. I do want to thank Joe Jones and the engineers, Township Manager, and the Board of Supervisors for the excellent repairs and replacement of the sidewalk and curbs at the Fallsington United Methodist Church, and in time for the Living Nativity.
All right.
Okay, that's the good thing. The downside is every year I think we are dipping into our savings account to balance the budget, if I'm correct. So I do want to know what plans are there to balance the budget without using the savings account.
We haven't dipped into the savings account, Tony. This is the first year in a couple of years we haven't put money into the savings account in next year's budget. That doesn't mean we're not going to, but we don't take money out of it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then I'm under the impression that we did take out money every year to balance the budget. Is that not correct?
What's that?
Is that not correct then?
Correct.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, have a good night.
Thanks.
Anyone else, Kyle?
There's no further public comment.
All right, item number 2, certificate of appropriateness for 46 Main Street in Fallsington. They're replacing a fence to make it code compliance around the in-ground pool. Mr. Takita, they're basically just raising the size of the fence, right?
Right, they're replacing the existing fence to surround a pool that was approved by the zoning hearing board.
Okay. And it's been approved by the historical review board as well. Any questions or comments from board members for Mr. Takita?
None.
None.
None. Is there a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 46 Main Street?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, we're on number 3. Consider adopting the 2021 budget and resolution establishing the millage rate for 2021. Are there any questions from board members or comments?
I have none.
No questions.
No questions.
All right. Mike, we're doing this we're just approving the budget and then the millage rate?
That's correct.
All right, is there a motion to approve the budget as presented?
I make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And so you're asking for public comment on any specific agenda items?
I was going to wait until we did I guess we should do it before we vote.
Yeah, you should.
All right,
Yeah.
public comment needed, Kyle?
No public comment.
All right. And what resolution is this, Mr. Takita?
It is resolution 2020-35.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Item number 4, consider awarding workers' compensation contracts for the year 2021. Mr. Takita, can you walk us through this?
Yes, you're being asked to consider awarding workers' compensation contracts for 2021. The renewal contribution for DVWCT is $361,629, which is a $27,406 reduction from last year's contribution. There's a reduction in payroll and rates. The experience modification factor increased from 0.867 to 0.874. The renewal premium, the overall workers' compensation premium for the township is $413,314, which is $27,208 less than last year.
All right, that's a good thing. Any questions from board members? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Rocco?
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway?
None.
Mr. Palmer?
Just like to thank our team for coming up with that $27,000 savings. That was great.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Is there any public comment needed, Kyle?
No public comment.
All right. Is there a motion to award the workers' compensation contracts for year 2021?
I make the motion. I'll second it.
Mr. Rocco, can you pull the board?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
All right, thank you. Item number, we got the ratified declaration of emergency from the snow last week. I guess this is pretty cut and dry. Is there any questions or comments needed? No. Is there a motion?
I make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, consider amending the agreement between the Public Works Department and Falls Township. Sir, Clark, can you explain this to us briefly?
I'll defer to Mr. Takita to explain what this is.
What you have before you is a modification to the language in the union contract with Public Works and the township. It's for the agreement for what's called Janus language. It just incorporates a language that allows potential members to opt out of the union as required by the U.S. Supreme Court decision. The township is already following this practice, so there is no substantive change to the township operations.
So we're basically just putting it in writing.
Correct.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Takita, Mr. Rocco,
None. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer,
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the amendment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, consider proposal for the municipal building generator. When I first was elected to this board, I guess it was 11 years ago or so, the first time they took me in to see the generator that supports our building and our police station, I thought it was a joke. It looks like something from, a World War II surplus or something. It's been nothing but a problem for years now. Unfortunately, it's taken this long to get it done. But Mr. Takita, do you want to take us through this proposal quickly? We're basically hiring someone to do the engineering, design, and everything else.
Correct. Yeah, this proposal is for the design of a whole building emergency generator. It would include also metering of our existing system so they know how to properly size it. But yes, your assessment is correct. The current setup is in great need of repair between the metering and the service panels. So they need to do a complete review and design of that before we can install a generator. The total cost, including the metering of the existing service, is $5,150.
Okay, is there any questions from board members? Mr. Rocco,
No, I don't have any. Thanks.
Mr. Galloway,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer?
Yeah, this is to Matt. Matt, are we able to recapture any of this money from possible grants in regards being it's associated with our police department?
We can look into grants for that. There are a lot of out there for the police department, but this is not solely for the police department. It would cover the entire township building.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Is there any public comment needed, Kyle?
No comment.
All right, and the total amount is $5,150, correct, Mr. Takita?
Correct.
All right, is there a motion?
I make that
I'll
motion.
second it.
All right, motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you poll the board, please?
Sure, yes. Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
yes.
All right, that takes us to number 8. Consideration of an ordinance authorizing exemptions, deductions, abatements, and credits for real property, earned income tax, net profits, sales and use, business occupancy, and mercantile and business privilege taxes. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Within a specific geographic area in Falls Township, Bucks County, designated as proposed Keystone Opportunity Improvement Zone, KOIZ, in order to foster economic opportunities, stimulate industrial, commercial, and residential improvements, and prevent physical and infrastructure deterioration within areas of Falls Township, Bucks County. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, upon certain terms and conditions, and approving a KOZ payment in lieu of real estate taxes agreement. Mr. Clark, can you take us through this one?
I certainly can. The last 2 meetings we've held, we've had representatives from North Point discussing their potential purchase of the U.S. Steel site and their plans to redevelop the site. They have applied for a KOIZ designation, which, as you've indicated in reading the ordinance, Mr. Dents, would exempt them from the payment of certain taxes. The school district granted the KOIZ status on Thursday night, and my understanding is the county will consider it on Wednesday if this board approves it this evening. In front of you tonight will be a motion to adopt the ordinance authorizing the KOIZ, also a agreement for a payment in lieu of real estate taxes, which will have the property owner pay to the township 110% of the property taxes owed for the next 15 years. That amount can be increased each year if we raise taxes, so that's unlikely to happen. And the third agreement would be a resolution recognizing that the Morrisville Municipal Authority will be the owner and the operator of the U.S. Steel potable water, raw water, industrial wastewater, and sanitary sewer facilities. Essentially, when this deal closes, North Point will be turning over the sewer and water operations of the site to Morrisville Municipal Authority. Representatives of North Point are here this evening. If you have any questions, and I know that State Senator Steve Sanacero is here to discuss the process and the legislation.
Okay. Any questions from board members to start, Mr. Rocco?
No.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
What about Mr. Palmer? Oh, Mr. Palmer. You're muted.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Now, I know that Falls Township has a bit of a history with this site and a KOZ in the past. Things have changed since that last KOZ where we're going to collect 110% of taxes. There will be a pilot program as well, which will pay us the taxes, but a municipal services agreement for police, fire, and maybe some other stuff down there like dedication of roads and such. For 11 years, we've heard all kinds of great ideas come through this office, and, we're going to build this, we're going to build that, and nothing ever came of it. Very little development down there over the years. It's been nothing but a hard time. North Point came to town back in June. They have a long history, a well-established company from going into these places and building these warehouse developments, which is what they're going to do down there. This is, they're very serious about what they're doing. This is a very, very big investment on their end. This is a great thing for Falls Township. A lot of jobs will come down there, not only construction jobs, but full-time permanent jobs in these warehouses. There will be a lot of traffic, and Senator Sanaciro is here. He's going to help us, get some development and repairs to some of our roads. But, one of the biggest things is this that was pointed out earlier is this is, warehousing. They're not in any other business. That means no more Elcons. That means no more heavy industrial, and these aren't just warehouses, as Mr. Boraski pointed out earlier. These are eco-friendly warehouses. You're talking about solar and LED lighting that's, better for the environment. So this is a good step for Falls Township. And with that, I'm going to let Mr. Sanaciro speak. He has a few things to say. Senator Sanaciro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank the board for the opportunity to appear in front of you tonight to say a few words. As Chairman Dents just laid out, this is a site that's well known to all of us. Back in 2001, U.S. Steel shuttered its operations at the site after nearly 50 years in operation there. And that decision to close had reverberations throughout our region and our local economy. And in those, last 20 years or so, there have been a succession of ideas, sometimes ideas that seem like they might not be a bad idea, sometimes like the Elcon proposal that Chairman Dents just referenced, not particularly good ideas and good fits for the property. For a time, we had companies like Gamesa there, as long as the federal subsidies existed, and that employed at its height nearly 900 people in good manufacturing jobs. But there just haven't been a whole lot of those types of ventures. And it's been a struggle, frankly, to find an overall plan for that site that would be a good fit for the region and employ a lot of people. The initial KOIZ, you may recall, was enacted, I believe, back in 2002, and it expired a couple of years ago. So at present, there is no opportunity zone at the site. So North Point has proposed to build out at the site, as you know, a large facility, mostly warehousing and distribution centers. And as part of its plan and putting this together and making it work, it has requested the opportunity zone be revived. And so when it came to us with that request, we went to the governor's office initially to see if we could get the governor to issue an order. And the governor's office made it clear that they preferred the legislative route. This year, as you may know, Pennsylvania enacted a budget in two phases. One back in May that was designed primarily to get us through the first 5 months or so of the fiscal year. And that, of course, necessitated us to come back in November after the election and pass the second phase of the budget. I mention that because it gave us an opportunity through the fiscal code to revive the KOIZ in statute. And so in the Senate, I was able to get an amendment into the fiscal code that did just that. And with Representative Galloway's help, we were able to get support for it in the House. And it passed and was signed into law by the governor as Act 114 of 2020. So that now exists, but that is not the end of the story, because the three taxing authorities that have jurisdiction over the site, namely Bucks County, Pennsbury, and Falls Township, also need to enact and approve the KOIZ, which is what is in front of you tonight. As your solicitor, Mr. Clark, mentioned earlier, last Thursday night, the Pennsbury School Board voted 9-0 to do just that. It sounds as if it's moving in the right direction with the county on Wednesday. And so if you were to approve this tonight, we should be in a good position to have this done for the acquisition between North Point and US Steel to close, and to move forward in the new year with the initial construction of new buildings on that site. As you no doubt know, there are environmental issues, and that's not surprising, at a former steel mill that are likely to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 to $45 million to remediate. That is the subject of an agreement between North Point and the EPA, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the DEP, and that's moving forward. North Point is going to take that work on. There are parts of the property, however, where construction on new buildings can begin relatively soon, so that will happen in the new year, I believe. So this is, in my view, in the last 20 years, with all the different proposals that have come along, probably the best fit for that site. It will employ over 5,000 people in the construction phases of the work, and another 8,000 or so permanent jobs of people working at these facilities. I don't need to tell you what an impact that'll be on our local economy, and how that will really help not just Falls Township, but frankly, all of Lower Bucks County in providing good paying jobs with benefits. So, there are a lot of issues, obviously, that, it will have to be worked out as the process moves forward. But I do believe at the end of the day, this is a good plan for the community. And that's why it has my support. And that's why I was happy to work to get the KOIZ revived in statute. So I'm here tonight to ask for your support, as I was Thursday night in front of the Pennsbury School Board. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Senator Senciro, Mr. Rocco?
No, thank you for coming tonight and explaining that.
Thanks.
Mr.
Absolutely.
Galloway?
No, thank you, Senator.
Absolutely.
Mr. Palmer?
No, thank you for taking time to come and talk to us.
Absolutely.
Mr. Boraski?
Same as everybody else, Senator. I just want to say thank you and kind of, agree with one thing you said. And, you're a local guy. We're all local guys. We've stood down there and seen some projects come into this township that we thought that they were great. They were amazing, and I don't want to name some of them tonight, but they were supposed to be the future. And I couldn't agree with you more when I say that this probably is the best fit. And I hope this is successful.
Yep. Thanks, Mr. Boraski. And let me just say too, there are some exciting things that are happening in Morrisville. You may have been following news stories about the potential for development to kind of revitalize the downtown of Morrisville. I think if those things happen in conjunction with this, a lot of good things can happen to our local economy, which will be great. And to get back to a point that Chairman Dents made before, my office, and I know I'll speak on behalf of Representative Galloway as well, are happy to continue to work to bring grant money into Falls Township. Most recently, we were able to do that on some water and sewer grants that were helpful. And we're going to continue to do that moving forward. And I know roads are always an issue. And so that's something that we need to be focused on too. And, we have a lot of issues at the state level when it comes to funding of things. And I know the federal government does too. Hopefully in the new year, when the new administration takes office in Washington, we'll see some aid to the states, and that will make a big difference too. So looking forward to continuing to work with all of you on those things.
Thank you, Senator.
Great.
As he mentioned, the local impact, not just the jobs, but the supporting businesses in Falls Township that are going to benefit greatly from, all these people coming in and out of town. We talk about the taxes. It's not a lot of money for Falls Township like it is for the school board. I think, what they're assessed at now is around $40-some thousand. So even completely built out, I know it may sound crazy to say that's not a lot of money, but compared to the budget we just passed, you're only talking about a couple $100,000 in taxes. So, it's not like this is going to change our world tax-wise in Falls Township. And I have no other questions. Is there any public comment, Kyle?
Yes, we have Tony.
All right. Hi, Tony. Tony, you there?
Hi, yes.
Hi.
Is the period for the codes 10 years?
15.
15. Okay, and is the codes payment more or less than what the real estate and other taxes would be?
It's 110%. So more.
Okay, good. Then, because the next question was going to be, if the payer stays less than the 15 years, is there something that guarantees, the makeup taxes? But if it's more, then there would be no makeup, so we'd be fine. That was the only question I had.
All right, thank you. Is that it, Kyle?
Yes, no more comments.
All right, so what's our next step, Mr. Clark? Approving? Is there a motion?
We would need a motion to adopt the ordinance. And Mr. Takita, do you have the ordinance number?
It's 2020-6.
All right, is there a motion to adopt an ordinance number 2020-6, establishing a KOZ for North Point Development?
I make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you pull the board, please?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
All right, I know the folks from North Point are here. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
That went well.
Thank
Item
you
number
very
9, consider KOZ payment in lieu of real estate taxes agreement between Falls Township, North Point Development Incorporated, and Falls Township Industrial LLC. Mr. Clark, you're up.
This is the payment in lieu of tax agreement that you've just mentioned, Mr. Dents. Once approved, North Point will pay the township 110% of the taxes that are owed at this time. We would ask that you approve this agreement pending final confirmation of the numbers. Mr. McGinnis's office sent over the tax parcel numbers, and we're just confirming that with our confirming the dollar amounts with our business manager at the finance director at this time, Ms. Rukoff. But so if we could have a motion to adopt the payment in lieu of real estate taxes pending final approval of the dollar amounts.
All right, is there a motion to approve the pilot pending final approval of the lawyers?
I make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right. Another easy one. Congratulations again. Number 10. This is the resolution with the agreement between the Morrisville Municipal Authority and U.S. Steel and North Point and Falls Township. Is that correct, Mike?
That is correct, Mr. Dents. This is an agreement, as we've indicated. U.S. Steel has operated what is commonly referred to as the wet utilities down at the site, water and sewer, potable water, raw water, industrial wastewater, sanitary sewer facilities. North Point is not in the water and sewer business. So they have worked it out with Morrisville Municipal Authority, where the operation of the water and sewer utilities will be transferred from U.S. Steel to Morrisville Municipal Authority.
Okay, so a little history. U.S. Steel has a water treatment plant down there, that's in very bad shape. It can't be fixed. It would need to be replaced. Morrisville Municipal Authority has a water treatment plant that's old and outdated, and they've been dealing with U.S. Steel, to buy and build a new plant on that site down there for a few years now. When North Point came along, that changed things a little bit. I know at our last meeting, Tony Batiste was asking why Morrisville Municipal Authority and not Township of Falls Authority. Township of Falls Authority, we don't have a water and sewer treatment plant. We're not in that business. I mean, they're in the water and sewer business, but they don't have a treatment plant. Also, that's private property down there. It always has been. There's some agreements in place. There's been some discussion, but this will be beneficial to TOFA. There will be an agreement between TOFA and MMA with some compensation. that's being worked out. But I think that should clear up, the little bit of the history. Are there any, is there any public comment, Kyle?
No public comment.
All right, is there any questions or comments from board members? Mr. Rocco,
I have none.
Mr. Galloway?
Hey,
No
guys,
questions.
sorry, we believe Tony has a comment.
All right, let me finish with the board members. Mr. Palmer,
No comment.
Mr. Boraski.
No comment.
All right, Tony, are you there?
Bring her in now.
Hi, yes, I'm here now. Just one question, and that if for some reason the Morrisville new plant fails and that sewage runs into the area, that's actually Falls Township. So who's going to be doing cleanup costs and who's going to be responsible for that?
I don't know exactly what happens when it fails. I mean, they clean the water now and it goes right into the river at the U.S. Steel plant and along the river at the Morrisville plant. And I don't think they've designed them to fail, to answer your question, but Morrisville Municipal Authority is the owner and operator of the plant, so they would be responsible.
Okay, so Morrisville will be responsible
Yeah,
for
they own-
any EPA issues or anything like that.
yes,
Okay.
that is correct, right, Mike?
That is correct. Yes. They'll be the permittee with DEP and all the other regulatory agencies, and they'll be the ones whose bonds and insurance will be in place. And if anything happens, they'll be the one who will be responsible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. And this is a resolution number, Mr. Takita?
36.
36 already. Wow. All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2020-36, approving the transfer of the water and sewer utilities between MMA and North Point?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you pull the board?
Yes, Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
All right. That wraps up our North Point stuff. And congratulations again, guys. We look forward to working with you. Hopefully next week you'll be submitting plans for that first building and start digging right after the first of the year.
That is our plan. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chairman, I just want
Thank you.
thank you all again and wish you all happy holidays and let's hope for a much better year in 2021.
Sure thing.
You got that right.
Sure.
You as well. Have a happy New Year, Senator Stanisiero. And thank you for coming tonight.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chairman Dents,
Yes, sir.
do you have, I don't have the paperwork for this next agenda item. Do you?
No, I don't.
Item number 11.
Yeah.
All it is a request for authorization to advertise an ordinance. It is not the ordinance itself that we're going to be, we're not proposing any ordinance. We're just requesting authorization to advertise.
Okay.
We don't normally see the ordinance that we advertise? I think we do.
It says on mine it will be emailed to us Monday. Oh, that's today.
Yeah, I looked through my email. I didn't see it. Yeah, no, I don't see it.
Okay.
So should we table it?
I would request that we, if the board is so inclined, we table this.
Okay. I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wow, that takes us to item number 12, minutes for the 16th of November, the 7th, and the 14th of December. The 16th was our regular meeting. The 7th and 14th was the other special meeting that we had. Any questions, comments, or edits needed? Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
I'm
Mr.
good. Thank you.
Rocco?
I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway,
I'm good.
Mr. Palmer,
I'm good.
Mr. Boraski.
Good, thank you.
Is there a motion to accept the minutes for all 3 dates?
Make the motion.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right. Thank you. That takes us to item number 13, engineers report. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The engineer's report for the month of November will show that we had one new earth disturbance submitted. It's for the 9248 East Tyburn Road. That's the Beck property. The scope of that project is to fill in basically a borrow pit. It's in an open area on that site, and I believe the applicant intends to ultimately develop that site. But right now, it's an earth disturbance. They have erosion control approval, and they are ready to begin construction, actually. In terms of the updates on the land development section, I'll mention a couple of notable points. The Metals project, they've started to do steel erection on the aluminum building. That's the smaller of the two buildings. So that project moves forward smoothly. The Petrucci tract is a 225,000 square foot warehouse off of Ben Fairless Drive. We had our pre-construction meeting, and that is about to go to construction. Actually, they started doing erosion controls on that project. The Alro Steel project is in the industrial park, but outside the KIPC. That's on Progress Drive. We had a pre-construction meeting for that, and that is now under construction. In terms of the ongoing earth disturbances, the St. Francis Cabrini Church is nearing completion, and actually all the improvements look really good. The changes to the frontage and the sidewalks and the hardscapes are in place. Good project there. The pools are at various stages of approval. The McGowan residence pool is complete, and there were two pool fill projects that are highlighted in red. They're both essentially complete. And then the John Beck property, which is what I mentioned as the new project, I already discussed. In terms of the ongoing township projects, I touched on the 2020 road program. We had a little bit of weather interfere with our progress on Gilbert Drive. We've been actively involved with the residents. There's been some complaints, but we have it in a condition now where we're buttoned up for the winter, at least for the holidays. And we intend to get back at it as soon as the weather breaks. So i.e. as soon as we have 3 or 4 days of above freezing weather, we will be back out at the project site and completing the sidewalk and aprons. Simon's Drive is buttoned up for the winter. All driveways are stoned. And as of right now, all residents have access to their driveways. That's my report. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Jones? Mr. Rocco?
No, excellent summary. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Palmer? You're muted, sir.
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Jones mentioned Gilbert Drive. I guess it was the week before last. They were supposed to set up to pour these driveways on Friday, which would have given them plenty of time to get them done before the snow. And everything fell apart quickly. Their vendor was no show on the Friday, which pushed everything back. There was some confusion. General Asphalt slipped up a little bit and didn't have access to some of the driveways. There was a lot of emails going back and forth. And Mr. Jones, he handled it very well. Him and his Inspector Dwayne, they got right on it. They got right on General Asphalt. They made it, they did the best they could. They jumped on it the following week and got everything poured they could and straightened out before the snow the other day. General Asphalt was actually out there plowing snow. So I thank him for that. I know it was stressful. A couple of supervisors were in the zero all weekend. At least one I know was. So thank you. Is there a motion with that to accept the engineer's report?
I make that motion.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good. All right. That takes us to the bill list. Item 14. The bill list is $2,794,489. $1.4 million is payroll. The rest is payables. $790,000, I'll point out, is for the road program though. So it's not as big as, I mean, it's as big as it sounds, but that's a big chunk of it. Any questions or comments on the bill list? Mr. Rocco,
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway,
No questions.
Mr. Palmer,
No questions.
Mr. Boraski.
Just one comment, Mr. Dents. I just wanted to point out the volunteer fire and incentives are also on the bill list. And, just wanted to take this time to thank all the guys that responded to fire calls and our volunteers in Falls Township, Fairless Hills, and Levittown #1. And I wish them all a safe and happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Rocco, can you pull the board, please?
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Excellent. All right, that takes us to executive session. Mr. Clark, you want to comment on our executive session?
Yes, Mr. Dents, prior to the meeting, the board held an executive session to discuss some personnel matters and also to consult with me regarding issues related to the KOZ and the pilot agreement.
Thank you. That takes us to item 16, our police report. Chief Whitney, it's all you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so as we always do, looking back at the outset here at November, we were at minimum staffing 50% of the time. That was down slightly from 55% in October. And you can see the comparison going back to 2016, how that fluctuated over those years.
Chief, what is our goal? I mean, is it 100? Is it a silly question?
Our goal is to be at minimum staffing no more than 25% of the time. That's the goal we'd like to achieve. In order to achieve that, obviously, we have to be at full staffing and we have to be deployed in such a way as to make it more likely than not that we're at above minimum staffing 75% of the time. And the relevant comparison to kind of get a feel for that is to look back at 2016. In 2016, the deployment and patrol was different. The squads had less people on them and there was an extra shift on both Group A and Group B. So it's the same number of officers, but deployed differently. And clearly, 77%, there were times we were 85% at minimum staffing back then with that scheduled deployment. We changed that in 2017, and we've seen improvements that do fluctuate with the number of officers that are out, injured, or in different reassignments. So some of the stuff that you see here in these fluctuations since 2016 are officers that are out injured at times, they're out sick, they're in COVID quarantine this year, or they're on reassignment.
Yeah, so should we be seeing this at close to 100% of the time in November? Or?
Well, no, we wouldn't want to see us at minimum staffing 100% of the time. If you look at the next slide, you'll see it dispersed through the 4 squads that are in the patrol division. So you can see Group A day shift, which is operating short. We had an officer terminated from that squad. We're at minimum staffing 93% of the time in November. Group B day shift was fully staffed and they were, above minimum staffing the entire month. And then the night shifts have had officers that are reassigned in acting positions. So this is one of those things where the patrol division is lean and there's not a lot of room. So one person really matters. So if you pull one person off a squad or 2 people off a squad for whatever reason, that really impacts the amount of time that we're at minimum staffing. And of course, the operational concern is when we're at minimum staffing, we're really, for the most part, just responding to calls for service. We don't have a lot of unobligated time in order to be proactive. And of course, we want to be able to be proactive, especially in the 2 things that kill people in Falls Township, which are drug overdoses and traffic crashes.
Chief, when you say officers reassigned, isn't that figured into your manpower or no?
Well, currently we have officers reassigned in acting lieutenant positions. That's part of the promotional process. So those people are pulled off the squad that they were on for a 4-month period to be in an acting position. And of course that impacts the staffing level on the squad that they're assigned to. So the way the patrol division is structured, it's designed currently around 40 officers being in it. And if we have less than 40 officers in it, you'll see that impacted depending upon where they're being pulled from. When we're up to 40 officers and we're fully staffed, then we're more likely to be close to hitting this goal. And that goal is to be at minimum staffing no more than 25% of the time. And here's our overdose numbers for November. We had 9 additional overdoses during the month of November, which brought the yearly total up to 120. 9 of those 120 during this year, 2020, have been fatal, which is 9 too many, but compared to prior years, that's a lower number. The prior year comparison, if you can look at this chart, the last time we had, in and around 9 fatalities or below that was in 2013. And I believe 2013 was the year nationwide that drug overdoses overtook traffic crashes as the leading cause of accidental death. And certainly our numbers reflected that in the several year period there in the mid 2010s. Our calls for service, we had 1,474 calls in November. And they're broken down by sector, which kind of alludes to some of the things we talked about regarding, realigning that sector plan, which is on our list of things to do next year to try to more evenly distribute that workload and provide increased coverage to some areas of the township. Our yearly calls for service are 16,373 by the end of November. That is down from where we usually are this time of year. And that's really nothing more than a reflection of that initial shutdown for COVID. There weren't a lot of calls for service in those months. It was quiet. These are our traffic crashes for November, 85 for the month. It brought us to 904 for the year, and we had 4 fatals during 2020 thus far. Hopefully we make it to the end without another one. And our arrest numbers, so 69 arrests for the month. Brings year to date up to 666. And you can see 357 of those are drug arrests. So drug arrests continue to be a sizable portion of the arrests that we're making.
This may be a kind of is marijuana considered drug arrest as well?
It currently is. You'll find most of our officers realize that legalization is around the corner. So we're not as apt to arrest people for that as we were in years past. A lot of the arrests we're seeing out there now, we still see heroin, but we're seeing a lot of methamphetamine, which I know I've said to all of you before.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Our calls at hotels and motels. I'm sorry, was there a question? Oh. Our calls for service at hotels and motels, you can see still the Red Roof is kind of the line leader there. They've got double the amounts of calls for service year to date than any other of our hotels and motels. And we continue to try to work with them to address that problem. We continue to do a lot of proactive work at our hotels and motels to maintain a police presence and try to provide police protection and police service to the people that are there so that hopefully these calls for service go back to a normal rate, like a pre-COVID rate. We probably really won't see that until COVID is behind us and their rates go back up to what they normally would be. Most of these hotels and motels were built around the idea of servicing the people who go to Sesame Place. And our arrest data, this is something we updated in August, I believe. We look at this every year to try to keep an eye out for bias-based policing. And once again, we're 84% white and 81% of the people we've arrested since 2010 are Caucasian. So our demographics match our arrest data, which is a good indication that there isn't bias-based policing going on, but this is something that we look at every year. And just some reviews. So back on November 7th, we had that shooting at the Wawa on West Trenton Avenue. This is still an active investigation, so our detectives are still investigating this, and I would expect this investigation to continue until it's successfully concluded, but it's still going on. We had the shooting homicide at the Commons of Falls on December 1st. 4 people were shot, 1 fatally during a dispute in the parking lot. That is also an active investigation with our detectives and the Bucks County DA's office. On the 28th of November, I should have those slides flipped. We had a home invasion, robbery, and shooting at Nolan Park Apartments. A man was shot in the shoulder during that robbery, and that is also an active investigation. And I know I find myself frequently saying this, but you can definitely get a feel for the level of stress in the community and the level of violence in the community being increased from years past. I think that's a combination of both COVID-19 stress and the fact that the drug of choice is switched from a sedative to a stimulant in methamphetamine. And just to kind of give you a feel for the amount of weapons that are out there, we had a road rage incident on November 17th, and we arrested a person who was involved in that incident for brandishing a gun. We actually searched that person's apartment and found another gun. So, you know, there's this combination of stress and people using stimulants that affect their cognition and their ability to think through problems, and the prevalence of weapons. It's a bad combination. On November 11th, we had a robbery at the Nolan Avenue 7-Eleven. Person stole cigarettes, then came back, ended up assaulting the clerk and stole more cigarettes. So, you know, this kind of violent behavior is obviously something we're concerned about, and another reason that we'd like to be above minimum staffing more frequently so that we can proactively provide patrol attention to these focus points where we're having this kind of violence throughout the community. On a positive note, we didn't get the grant we initially applied for with the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission, but they were so enthusiastic about our plan to partner a certified recovery specialist with a police EMT. Nobody else is doing that anywhere in this region. So they found additional funding. So we kind of were about to walk away disappointed and shelf that project for a different time, but they came back with funding. So they will provide us with grant funding during 2021. They will hire a certified recovery specialist that we approve, and then that certified recovery specialist will be out there riding with our police EMTs to respond to calls of overdoses and people involved with drug use, to try to place that person in treatment right there directly in the field, which is an exciting program that I'm happy to be bringing to Falls Township next year. We're also working on being part of this Missing Kids Readiness program that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has. In order to do this, the entire police department has to go through different levels of training, and we need to adopt a policy that's in line with the model policy that the National Center has. I think this is a really important topic. You can imagine the stress that families go through when a child is missing. This is an area where we want to exceed I think the standards in our industry, and the National Center is the go-to place in order to meet or exceed the standards in the police industry for responding to missing children. So I'm excited to bring this. I wanted to do this 7 years ago. I just couldn't get it done within the police department. At my request, Sergeant Belinsky kind of spearheaded our effort in organizing this, and by February we should be on track with an application to get approved to be part of this program. Oop, the wrong way. I thought you guys might be curious some of the initial goals for 2021. There's more than this, but I wanted to hit the high points. So we have to update and continue to update our policy book. We have to develop and implement an annual training plan for our officers, and we have to have an increased emphasis on supervision in the police department. Those are the pillars of constitutional policing. In order to make sure that the kind of things that we see happening across the United States don't happen here, these are the important things to do to run a police department in 2021. So these are the things that we have to hit right away. These are our things that can't wait. We have to get that policy book updated, and we continue to work on it. We just put out an updated domestic violence policy, which is important. Policy book should be a living, breathing instrument that we review on a regular basis and that we revise as needed to stay ahead of problems. And training couldn't be more important. You can't just throw people out there with badges and guns and train them once and think they've got it. We've got great officers, but we need to support them, help them succeed at their mission. And that happens through training and supervision. And we absolutely need a strategic plan for the department to map out a 5-year plan for what are the things we want to accomplish and when we want to accomplish them. So those things will definitely be happening in the first quarter of 2021. It's going to take more than that to get that policy book fixed, but there's priorities there. And I look forward to sharing that with you as this all progresses next year. And happy holidays. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You're on mute, Mr. Dents.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Chief Whitney. Any questions from board members, Mr. Rocco?
Excellent job in 2020. I know it's been a challenge, and looking forward to seeing a lot of change going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rocco.
Mr. Palmer,
No, thank you for the report. Appreciate it.
Mr. Boraski,
Have a good night, Chief. Thank you. Very informative presentation. I appreciate that.
Mr.
Thank you,
Galloway.
Mr. Roscoe.
Mr. Galloway.
Nothing else, just a great report, and happy holidays, Chief.
Thank you to you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Chief Whitney. I appreciate the data. I like it. It's very informative. It keeps everyone informed of what's going on. Again, you and Matt stepped into this year, never ever expected that it would, it was unbelievable how fast this hit us. And, yourself and Rich DiPolito and Matt Takita, the three of you working together really did steer us through all this. And we appreciate that. And happy holidays to you as well and your family.
Thank you. Thank you to you as well. Hopefully it'll be better next year.
It will. It has to be. That takes us to a manager comment. Mr. Takita, you're up.
A few items. The first is board is being asked to consider escrow releases for 3 separate projects. First one is Campy Components at 88 Towpath Road in the amount of $54,138.56. Second one is for LTL Color Compounders, Americhem, 20 Progress Drive in the amount of $95,884.42. And lastly, Brijesh Patel at 957 Lincoln Highway in the amount of $2,633.75. Based on Jones Engineering Associates inspection of each project, the work has been completed to their satisfaction, and the amounts are recommended for release.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Takita? We can pay all these 3 at once, Mr. Mark?
Yes, you can.
All right. Is there a motion to approve these escrow releases?
I make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Rocco, poll the board, please.
Mr. Galloway,
Yes.
Mr. Boraski,
Yes.
Mr. Dents,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
The board is being asked to consider a resolution extending the guidelines and policy for outdoor sales of food and merchandise of existing businesses in the township during the coronavirus pandemic. This extension will be to June 30th of 2021. It's resolution number 2020-37. The original resolution was approved back in June 15th of 2020.
All right. This is an easy one. Is there any questions or comments needed?
No.
No questions.
All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2020-37 extending the outdoor dining and sales through June of 2021?
I make the motion to approve the
I'll
resolution.
second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
All right.
Lastly, the air gas Mylars are ready for signature.
I think you just want to see me and Mr. Rocket come up to the township building twice a week to sign stuff. Is that what's going on here? All right. That takes us to board comment. Mr. Palmer.
I'm excited about what we did back there in the old steel mill. By bringing in this new development, what we're able to do is make a brown space green again. And that's a huge point for Falls Township. So I'm excited to be part of that. And I want to wish everybody a good holiday and a healthy one. Thank you.
Mr. Rocco?
Just to, excuse me, echo what Mr. Palmer said. It's exciting to see, or we will be seeing some new construction going on down there and just changing the whole face of that area. And also want to thank my fellow board members. As I said, 2020 has been quite different for us, but I feel like we were as productive, if not more productive, from the year before. So thank you for that, as well as the staff and the professionals. I think you guys have really helped all around. So thank you and happy holidays.
Mr. Boraski?
No, busy meeting tonight. Just like to same wish everyone a happy holidays and a healthy new year, and see everyone in January.
Mr. Galloway?
I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
All right. Yes, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone, and whatever holiday you celebrate. 2020 has been a challenge. This is my first year as the chairman. Matt Takita's first year with Rich DiPolito and Chief Whitney. No one ever thought back in January that in 2 months everything would fall apart and be where we are. But they led us through it. But everybody that works in Falls Township was cooperative. All the way, even the residents that had to come into the township and do business. Like Mr. Rocco said, it seems odd, but we did still take care of a lot of business this year. It was a productive year for us. It's still weird doing this from my home and not being in the township building. Normally after the North Point thing, we all would have shaken hands and taken a picture together, but that's not the case anymore. Hopefully soon we can get back to the meeting room and normal meetings. And but yes, the North Point development, that's going to be a great thing for Falls Township. I know a lot of people have bad memories of the KOZ in the past, but this is going to be great. There's going to be a lot of jobs down there, construction jobs. Like Mr. Palmer said, it's green space now. It's not, people still haven't been down there since they worked there. There's still a lot of people in our area that remember U.S. Steel that have no idea. They wouldn't even recognize it if they drove through it now. U.S. Steel spent the past 15 years tearing down buildings for tax assessment reasons. But this is going to be great. We look forward to working with them. And with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you, everyone.